Flip through Silas Scarlet, soldier, woodsman leader. Silas Everett Scarlet was born to Colonel Everett J. Scarlet in 1818, one of 12 siblings. He grew up in eastern North Carolina during a tumultuous time in the state's history, and not much is known about his life before he joined the army in 1836. He quickly rose through the ranks, in part due to his father's connections, but also due to a particular ruthlessness for which he received the nickname Bloody Silas Scarlet. The federal government granted the now Captain Silas a tract of bounty land in exchange for his service in the Indian War, and he settled into the hills of North Carolina in 1841. That land would become Scarlet Hollow. But it started as a simple log cabin, built by Silas's own two hands, occupied by his family of 10, Silas, his wife Mary Joseph Scarlet, and their 8 children. Logging business brought many workers and fellow landowners to the hills, but it wasn't until Silas discovered rich seams of coal running underneath the entire region that Scarlet Hollow was really put on the map. He saved what he could and bought the surrounding hillside at a great discount, cleverly hiding what he knew about the land's true value. Cleverly. Thus, he had all the resources to found Scarlet Hollow's now famous coal mine. You're finished with this one. Flip through Appalachian folk monsters. Few entries catch your eye. Wampus cat, a large cat-like creature with a loud howling voice, often said to sound like a woman crying out in pain. Often linked to Cherokee legends, some cite the Wampus cat as originating with the story of a woman who sought vengeance against a monstrous cat demon for driving her husband mad. She hunted it down, and by wearing a bobcat mask, tricked it into using its own vile magic on itself, freeing the people of their region from its evil. Others say the creature comes from the story of a woman who wore the pelt of a wild cat to witness forbidden hunting rites. The hunters of her village gathered to perform the rites, and she watched in secret from underneath the cat's pelt, but was soon discovered. For her indiscretion, she was fused with the pelt and transformed into a creature that was neither human nor cat, forced to wander the wilderness alone, feared by all. Her calls are those of great sadness and serve as a warning to anyone who dares go against tradition. Tommy knockers, enigmatic cave-dwelling creatures primarily known for causing mischief. Tommy knockers originated in Cornish mythology, spreading to the United States when Cornish immigrants began working in Appalachian mines. They're named for the knocking that can be heard from seemingly within the walls before a cave-in. According to some, the knocking serves as a benevolent warning. Others believe that the creature takes stolen hammers in the supports of mines and claps them on whoever is unfortunate enough to still be inside. They traditionally thought to be impish, leprechaun-like beings, but some claim they are the spirits of dead miners, forever cursed to haunt their final resting place. Taily-poo, a small creature with a long tail and wide yellow eyes. There was a hunter who lived in a tiny cabin in the middle of the woods, all alone with his hunting dog. One night, after a particularly bad week of hunting, both their stomachs empty, the hunter spied something out of the corner of his eye. Some small creature had gotten into the cabin through a hole, and before he could even figure out what it was, he'd drawn his gun and fired at the thing, his hunger guiding his actions. But it was quick, and ran through its hidey hole and out of sight, leaving only its long black tail shot off the hunter's rifle. "Guess this'll have to do," he said to the dog, and threw the tail in a pot to cook a soup. He and his dog ate well that night, the tail filling them both up. The hunter crawled into the bed, satisfied, and his dog curled up at his feet. He woke up to the sound of long nails scrabbling across wood. His dog was nowhere in sight, only a rumpled spot on the covers where he'd been. And in the gloom, he saw 2 big yellow eyes staring right at him. "I want my Taily-poo." Taily-poo? A high horse croaked from the darkness. "Go away!" he screamed at the thing. But it stepped closer to him, still shrouded in darkness, the sound of long claws dragging across hardwood accompanying its movements. "I want my Taily-poo!" the creature growled again. "I'll get my dog after you," the hunter squeaked, his voice catching in his throat with fear. But there was no dog to be seen. "I want my Taily-poo!" before the hunter could so much as scream. The creature leapt from the darkness, long claws stretched out toward the hunter. No one is sure what the creature did to him that night, but the next morning all that remained of the hunter, his dog, his cabin, was a chimney standing alone in the woods. You're done here. You close the book and put it back. I think I'm all done. Let's check in. Yeah, what did you guys turn up? Because, I didn't turn up much. Alright, if we're going with what Kanika's mum told us last night, I think we can rule out any natural disasters as what brought the ditchlings here. But not nuclear incidents. Looks like our state has a history with those. What about y'all? Find anything? Whoa. Before you can respond, a handsome black cat leaps onto the table, almost on instinct. Stella slams her book shut. Ah, hey Pixel! You might want to close your book. He loves to rip up any paper he can find. Oh man, I used to have a cat who did that. It was so annoying. Like, especially around Christmas time, because like we couldn't have the Christmas presents out. You know, under the tree. Yeah. I don't know what it is, because like this is like years ago, right? Back when I lived with my mom. We had 2 cats. One of them just loved ripping up paper. The other one didn't care. So didn't care about paper. Yeah. Pixel, my dear friend, it's been too long. How have you been? Oh, they get along. Hungry. Did Stella bring the good stuff? Don't worry, little guy. I didn't forget your treats. Aw, yeah, snack time. Crunch, crunch. Sorry if Pixel's bothering y'all. Hopefully he hasn't gobbled up any of our books. He can't stand the thought that people might pay attention to anything that isn't him. Why do you let a paper shredder freely wander a library? Why don't you mind your own business? Have you seen this little guy's face? How could I say no to that? Hey Pixel, what do you think about the monsters we saw in the woods? I'm an indoor cat. I don't know nothing about no woods. I just hang out in the library, especially now that our house got haunted. Pixel says your house is haunted. What's up with that? Haunted. Wait, Pixel said? So is it true then? Yes? At least I think it is. There isn't any other explanation. Comet is either psychic or she can talk to animals. It's a long story. No comment. Oh man, I think the cat's out of the bag. We've been living in the library for a little bit. It's been great. Way more snacks, way more scritches. Except sometimes there's too much scritches. Hold up, what kind of haunting are we talking about here? Unexplained noises? Objects appearing in strange and unfamiliar places? Oh, Oscar, don't get our hopes up like that. Nothing like that, sorry. The floor in Rosalina's bedroom just keeps seeping blood, and I've seen a strange figure in the hallway a couple times. Wait, you've seen a full-body apparition? Can I see it? Stella, how many times have you gone on ghost hunts and been tricked by shadows? You know what it's going to be. But what if it's an actual ghost? I'm with Kanika. There's probably a very normal and very boring explanation for all of this. Y'all are more than welcome to check it out. Maybe tomorrow night? Yes, we'll be there! Yeah, that sounds like a fun way to spend an evening. Can't wait to get spooked by some creaky floorboards. Leave Pixel be. You decide leave Pixel be. The cat curls up on the table, fast asleep. Alright, I better get back to shelving. Let me know if y'all need anything. Stella, what was that you were saying about nuclear incidents? You were talking about that Goldsboro thing, right? Yeah, apparently in the 60s, a B-52 carrying a live warhead broke up mid-air and dropped a couple of bombs. Fascinating bit of history there. The first of the 2 bombs landed upright after its parachute got caught in a tree. Thankfully, it didn't go off. At the time, the government claimed that the bomb was unarmed, but it later came out that the only thing preventing a detonation was a single electrical switch, which failed to trigger on the descent. And 60 years later, the second bomb still hasn't been recovered. Right. It's conventional explosive disintegrated in midair, but most of the nuclear material was made unrecoverable by flooding. If I remember correctly, they just buried it and sealed it up. I'm sorry, did you say they buried it? Do y'all need something to cook? Because if so, I'm your gal. I don't think disarming nuclear bombs is part of our skill set. Absolutely not. Also, Goldsboro is almost 400 miles from here. I think we're good. I'm just saying, you never know with radiation. We actually know quite a bit. It just melts you, it doesn't make monsters, and a 60-year-old bomb isn't going to explode on its own 100 miles away and kill us here. You never know. There could always be a whole underground society of bomb-worshipping mutants just waiting to blow it up. I've missed this. Any luck with Rosalina? Not yet. I knew a teen would be a handful, but I didn't think it'd happen overnight. I'll probably head out when you're all done and check in on her usual haunts. Whisper, do you think there's a cult here? Leaning quietly to whisper to Stella and Kanika. I just think there's like a cult here. Maybe the Ditchlings were like summoned. It's part of a ritual or something like that. Seems unlikely. Talk about veins of Scarlet. So, about the coal mines here. Nico visibly shudders. I get so cold sweats just thinking about being in a place like that. I feel for the guys who work up there. I could never. Speak for yourself, I love a good crevice. A union-busting mine collapse from poor working conditions. Follow me shocked? Yeah, it's pretty awful. That's what that sculpture out front is for. Commemorating all the men and children who died that day. And children? Oh. Every kid in Scarlet Hollow learns about the collapse of 1918. Our teachers love to emphasize how many children they had working down there. Probably to try and show us how good we have it or whatever. Low bar, if you ask me. You know, that could be what the Ditchlings were warning us about. Another collapse. Writing it down on a list of potential disasters. Yeesh, Stella, that's morbid. And besides, it was all Charles Shaw's fault. The labor market is way more strict now, and there's no way you could get away with the kind of safety cutbacks he pulled. Y'all don't actually think the mine is about to collapse, right? No, I don't think so. Had me worried there for a second. I hate to give Tabitha any credit, but the mine is safer now than it was back then. Still, what a horrible thought. You never know. You guys really seem to have a bone to pick with Charles Shaw. That's what happens when someone directly causes a monumental disaster, especially in a small town like this. People tend to spit when they hear your name. He got run out of town on a rail, you know? And that's not a figure of speech. Back then, they actually tied you to a rail and ran you out of town. There's a big mural of it on the far wall. He got off easy, if you ask me. I'm not sure I agree with the collapse angle, but the mines seem important. The whole town is built around them. Yeah, that's fair. They're bound to be relevant in some way. Hard to argue against that, but it doesn't really give us much to go on. And just because something seems obvious doesn't necessarily mean it's right or relevant. What about Silas Scarlet? So, Silas Scarlet. Wow, talk about a self-made man seemed like a great dude. Oh no. I guess he was a product of a different time. Who knows what future generations will think when they look back on us? Seems like a fence-sitting answer, and they're unimpressed. Sure, but the dude was still a monster. Sorry you related to him. You think the Ditchlings are here for retribution? That seems tenuous. Assuming Kanika's mum is right, they're here as an omen, not because they're going to do something themselves. And I think we know how I feel on the matter. Talk about Appalachian folk monsters. So, Appalachian folk monsters... My mum used to tell me that Taily Poe story. I've totally forgotten about it. My mum used to tell me that Taily Poe story back when I was little. I can't believe I forgot that one. It scared me so bad, I didn't eat soup for years. I thought a monster might try and dig it out of my stomach if I did. I love that one. There's this old chimney in the woods that I used to think was the chimney from Taily Poe. The one that was left after the thing did whatever it did. Now I know that's just because chimneys don't burn down and wooden houses do. That doesn't mean it's not the chimney from Taily Poe. I've camped out there a couple times and seen some pretty spooky stuff. Yeah, I watched that video. You saw raccoons. You're gonna get rabies one of these days chasing after wildlife like that. What can I say? I like to live on the edge. Do you think Wayne is a Tommyknocker? Maybe he's the ghost of a dead miner. There's something seriously wrong with the guy, and we definitely should look into it, but I don't think he's a ghost. Yeah, ghosts tend to be tied to a specific place, though. Maybe he's haunting the whole town. He's not a ghost because ghosts aren't real. I've also seen him, touch stuff. Wampus cats sound like they could be mountain lions. Voiced like a woman crying out, somewhere between person-sized and cat-sized. Definitely, they are 100% mountain lions. Kanika, you know there are no mountain lions up here. I thought you were supposed to be a skeptic. Oh, Stella, one of these days you'll trust us. But the myths are old, right? Mountain lions didn't go extinct in the Appalachians that long ago. Those legends just haven't died off yet. Almost every cryptid can be tracked down to either a hoax or someone getting confused about a perfectly normal animal. Sometimes both. Bigfoot, for instance, started as a prank. Then folks saw bears walking around on their hind legs and got freaked out, and now here we are. You'll eat those words when I get the first clear footage of a Bigfoot. If you manage that, I will print out a piece of paper that says Bigfoot isn't real and literally eat it. I promise. I'm holding you to it.